Over the last couple years, we have seen Disney on this catastrophic arc. We've known that they've been failing. We know that there's problems across all aspects of this business, whether you're talking about theaters or streaming or even theme parks that are suffering right now. And when you look at some of the big tentpole brands like Marvel and Star Wars, despite the media desperately trying to claim that everything's just fine, it's just toxic YouTubers that are being critical of these franchises. Now, almost everyone has come around to the same realization that we had years ago, that there's a massive problem with both of these franchises. And you're starting to see people try to shift the blame. Oh, well, it can't be Bob Iger's fault. He's so overwhelmed because he didn't expect things to be this bad when he got back
Oh
and took
my
over for Bob
God.
Chapek. And now you're starting to see Marvel and Star Wars also try to shift some of the blame for their failures. We heard Bob Iger a couple months ago come out and say, yeah, we're really going to slow down on some of the Marvel and Star Wars content. That's our plan going forward. Well, now we're starting to hear words and leaks and things come out from inside sources at Lucasfilm and Marvel to try to push the blame towards somebody else that's not them. Lucasfilm and Marvel Studios were pressured by Disney to announce projects before they were ready. And this all comes back to the Disney Investor Day, when Kathleen Kennedy stood up there and made an announcement about 10 Star Wars projects that were in the works. Kevin Feige did the same thing for the MCU. Now they're saying this is all because of pressure from Disney. We didn't want to do it, but mean old Disney made us.
Oh
Kevin
my God.
Feige was forced to announce Fantastic Four and Armor Wars by Disney, even when nothing was in place for either of the two. Same thing with Star Wars. Lucasfilm allegedly forced by Disney into announcing movies and TV shows before they were ready. This is something that you see when a company is failing. This isn't something you see for a successful brand. Everybody, when the brand's succeeding, is like, it's an honor to work here. It's great to have this type of leadership and to work with all these different people. When you start to see not just chinks in the armor or cracks in the facade, when you start to see a company collapsing, you start to see people trying to distance themselves and push all the blame onto other people for their failures.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do we see any of these narratives coming out of Nintendo or PlayStation? Do we see any of these coming out from any really successful brands out there? And it really comes back to just Bob Iger. I don't know what he's doing. I really don't know how to process what he's doing right now. Why did he come back? Because again, I still believe that he was always kind of there behind the scenes pulling the strings. But why did he come back into this role? What was the plan? How did he think this was going to benefit whatsoever? And I truly don't know how a company like Disney there's so many moving parts to it. There's so many things going on. And I don't know how they get this back on track because it comes back to, and I'm never going to forget this, but it's those Zoom calls of the executives at the company talking about their trans children and their not so secret gay agenda. These are high up people in the company. These aren't just randos in the company. These are really high ranking people at the company that you have elevated, and now you're kind of stuck with them. Like, I don't know how you would get rid of these weirdos if you wanted to, but it just seems like Disney has way more working against them than for them at this point in time. And with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the most successful thing we've ever seen in the history of cinema. It's unbelievable what they were able to accomplish, but it's having a definite effect on every aspect of this company right now. And now you're starting to see the blame game happen. And when the blame game is happening, it's a really bad sign.
The next step is to have someone like Nelson Peltz threaten to try to get some board seats so he can make suggestions to change the company. And I think that's what Bob Iger's worried about. He's worried about somebody like that coming in there. He's been worried about it for a year. The fact that Nelson Peltz is potentially back and asking for more board seats with more shares this time is troubling to him. And this time that the stock has continued to sink lower and lower and lower, there's a real feeling that there could be investors that are on the side of somebody who wants to come in and turn things upside down. If you're a Disney investor and 2 years ago, your stock was valued at like $180, $190 per share, and now it's sitting there at $85 per share, whatever it is today. People are getting very, very impatient, and they don't buy the bullshit about, oh, Bob Iger didn't know how bad it was, things like this. So the next step for Disney as a company in totality is to shake everything up, because what they're doing is not working.
Nope.